What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and I'm here today with a review for PValley. This is season 1, episode 6, titled Legacy. So, you guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this episode review, shall we? Alright, you guys, so this episode opens up and we see Mercedes and Autumn. So, they own Nate, Thelma, and Luis. They getting the money minus robbing the banks. So we see them, they changing outfits, they changing wigs, but they still riding around in this raggedy ass car. So then we also do see Shell and Terica. So Shell and Terica are out doing a tennis lesson. Actually, it's Terica doing a tennis lesson. And we see that Mercedes is watching, and then Terica, I guess she hit her ball over there towards the fence where Mercedes is, so she runs over there to get her ball. And, Mercedes is talking to Terica. Terica is upset with Mercedes because, she didn't get to go, with Mercedes last weekend. But we all know the reason why Terica did not get to go with Mercedes last weekend, because Mercedes was in jail for beating up Patrice's ass. So then, Mercedes is telling Terica, that, she's gonna get the money up, she's gonna get the dance studio, and Terica can come back and start dancing. And Terica's like, I don't want to dance. I never wanted to dance. All I wanted to do was just be around you. And at that point, I'm like, damn, I really feel bad for this girl. All she wants to do is just to be around her mama in any way she can. So then Shell comes over and she's talking to Mercedes. And, she's talking about how, Mercedes was on the news for fighting Patrice. And, Mercedes like, Patrice Woodbine. Yes, she does. And, Shell's whole thing is she wants to protect Terica. She's tired of, having to console Terica when she's in the, when she doesn't get to see Mercedes and she's crying. And, she's talking about that's her daughter. And, Mercedes like, I'm seem to remember me pushing her out of my cooch. And then, she's like, I don't think Cortez would be too happy with this. And she says, in a nutshell, Shell's talking about the fact that she had him cremated. I'm like, well, like, I get both sides. I get where Shell is coming from, and I definitely get where Mercedes is coming from. Like, this is my daughter, but at the same token, Shell is taking care of the girl. So, I mean, even in my notes, I do have that Shell was thinking highly of herself, but in the grand scheme of things, I understand both Shell and I understand both Mercedes. They just really want what's best for Terica. And I just want Mercedes just to prove that she's a fit mother, Damn, because the courts are gonna want to see that she has a job, but they're gonna want to see that some of the people in her life are not in her life, i.e., Uncle Clifford, Gidget, and Mississippi. That's gonna be kind of hard though. So then we do see Mercedes. So she's getting some IDs from Maine, and her and Maine flirting with each other. I'm like, if y'all just don't go ahead and fuck with each other and get it over with, because I want to see it. So then, her and Autumn, they talking, and I'm like, wow, she and Autumn are actually really getting along with each other. So Autumn asked her where's her bathroom, because she was asking about Maine, so I'm thinking, so me and, Miss Autumn are on the same page about Maine. So she tells her where the bathroom is. So on her way to the bathroom, she actually stopped in Terica's room. She says, now bitch, I know you heard the directions loud and clear, and I know you can tell that this does not look like my bathroom. So they sit down and, they start talking. She asks her, what is her daughter's name? And she tells her Terica. And then, she asks her, what is her daughter's name? And she says, Autumn. I'm like, okay, so you gave your stripper name, your daughter's name. Okay. I'm not tripping. I ain't judging by no means. But yeah, so they start to bond with each other. I'm like, oh wow, this is actually pretty cool to see. Don't want to talk about this scene? Nope, we're gonna hold off on it. All right, you guys, and there's one thing that I actually did forget to mention when I was just talking about Mercedes. So we saw Mercedes and Autumn, and they were out at like a diner, and Mercedes was tripping over the fact of all the likes that Mississippi has been getting on her status, her post. So then Autumn slides her some money and tell her, the next telex that they're gonna be hitting. And Mercedes was like, well, I hope some of this includes some gas money. So then Autumn she, like I said, she told her where they're going next. And then she also gave her a bit of advice when it comes to her money. She said, put it in an offshore account. She says, use like Bitcoin. And she's like, Bitcoin? She says, no, Bitcoin. Now, you guys, I've heard of Bitcoin, but I mean, because I know like with my AT&T, my cable bill, I could pay using Bitcoin. I'm like, what the fuck is Bitcoin? Like, is that legal, you guys? I'm assuming so if AT&T is going to accept it, it's legal. Or maybe they just don't give a fuck where the money comes. As long as they get paid, they good. And then she also gives her some advice about the gym. She tells her when it comes to her gym that she needs an investor. Mercedes don't want to have an investment. I'm like, girl, it might be better for you to have an investor. Because, I mean, you don't necessarily have to share the profit with them, but I understand where she was coming from. So then Andre comes in, and, Mercedes notices, like, oh, there go your man. I'm right there. And, they were getting ready to pay for their food, and the woman told him, oh, you got ready to pay for it. She's like, bitch, yo, how yellow ass put it on him like that? I was like, damn, for real, she put it on like that? That this nigga buying her food? Shit, teach me your tricks, Autumn Nights. Teach me your tricks. All right, you guys, so I'm gonna stop right here. All right, you guys, and so next we see Uncle Clifford. So Uncle Clifford, she and her feelings about this auction that's coming up in 14 days. So then, she gets a text from Lil Murder saying, he handled the situation with Mississippi. Uncle Clifford texts back talking about, you killed her? He was like, nah, nigga, nah, I ain't killed her. So then, we hear this loud music in the background, and it's old school music, and then we are introduced to Loretta Devine's character, the legend Loretta Devine. And we find out that she's Uncle Clifford's grandmother, and she's blind from, having diabetes. So, she tells Uncle Clifford, like, girl, there's some food, let's get some food in your body. And she's like, no, I'm good. And then she was like, she asked, who is the nigga? She's like, what you talking about? The nigga that you texted, like, invite him over. She was like, no, we ain't invite nobody over for dates. So then, we find out that the Pank was actually Ernestine's. So I'm assuming Ernestine is probably his grandmother's name, but they didn't say that, so I don't know that 100%. And then we also find out that on top of Uncle Clifford taking out some debt, Grandma has taken out some debt on the club as well. So Uncle Clifford feels like at this point, they might actually lose the club. And Grandma says, no, the hell we ain't. So then we do see Uncle Clifford, and she's getting her nails done. And then Eloise, who is the mayor's assistant, shows up as well. And then we also find out that Eloise was once one of Uncle Clifford's, strippers. She went to school, she graduated, and she left the club. I mean, this is a question that I have to ask. But if she graduated college, why is she the mayor's assistant? What did she go to school for? Because, I mean, I'm sorry, but because I have a college degree, I have a bachelor's, and I'm in pursuit of my master's, the last thing I'm about to be is somebody's assistant. I mean, unless she's like a paralegal, but I don't even know if he's into law. The mayor, because I mean, unless she was like a paralegal, that would make sense. But she's an assistant to the mayor, and the mayor's an asshole. Neither here nor there. So, Uncle Clifford asked her if why come she didn't ever tell him nothing about her or nothing about the foreclosure. And that's because she said she don't know anything. And Uncle Clifford tells her, okay, well, if you get any kind of tea, if it's lukewarm tea, hot tea, cold tea, whatever tea, bring that tea to me so I can sip it. So then we see, Grandma, and we got Uncle Clifford and Lil Murder over there on their date. Now, Grandma, however, I can tell that she's feeling, Lil Murder. She's talking about a story, and Uncle Clifford was like, stop telling that story. That is a lie, because she told Ike if he hit Tina one more time, that was going to be his ass. And, she's showing Lil Murder some pictures of her from the club days. And then Lil Murder get a text from DJ Never Scared that he at the studio, but he didn't respond. Did he respond back to DJ Never Scared? He said, I think he did, but he's pushing him off. So then we see Eloise. So Eloise is at the club with the girls. And, she's talking to the girls. And Uncle Clifford come back and like, well, look what the cat done drew again. So then we do see Eloise and Uncle Clifford, and they talking. So Eloise, basically, people in the mayor's office, it's almost as if she's wallpaper, because whenever she's there, she's like people just talking around her, so they're really not paying her much of attention. And she's telling Uncle Clifford about the whole situation with this casino deal, about the city council, and the only way to really stop this is she pulls out some paperwork, and she tells him the only way that you can really stop this is if you get people to vote against it. And Uncle Clifford was like, these niggas ain't gonna vote against shit. I mean, if you make it worth it, I don't know how you can make niggas vote. I really honestly don't know how you can make the niggas vote. Because, I mean, niggas don't even want to vote in the fucking election. So, a casino, I guess I got to be on Uncle Clifford's side. So then we see Uncle Clifford. So she went and bailed out Patrice Woodbine. I'm like, why would you bail that bitch out? Lord, let that dirty bitch stay in jail. So Patrice like, you bailed me out, so you put some stacks on me. Uncle Clifford was like, no, ma'am, I didn't put no stacks on you. She said, what I did do was I put the club on you. And Patrice like, well, what do you want? Oh yeah, if you guys hear thunder, it's raining in Dallas right about now, so try to ignore it. Basically, Uncle Clifford tells Patrice, and here I'm talking like with their accents, that, like I said, she used a club to get her out, and basically, she owes her now. I'm like, yes, get that bitch right where you want her. So then let's talk about Big L. So we see Big L, and actually we saw Gidget's dude. I can't remember what Gidget's dude's name is. It's escaping my brain right about now. But he's in a trap house like motel, got the girls with their titties out, doing the oxy. And I'm like, I thought you did that with cocaine. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know nothing about drugs, so I ain't judging. So Big L showed up, and, you know, Gidget's dude said, don't let Gidget know that he in town. I'm like, well, damn, you cheating on my girl Gidget? Like, you ain't shit. So Big L asked him for a stash. And he was like, I thought Uncle Clifford said that, you know, she wasn't holding nothing for me. He said, Big L said, well, Uncle Clifford don't know this. He said, well, what happens if she does? She ain't gonna find out. And if she does find out, you know, she's done so much for me, so I'll tell her that I'm doing this to help her. I'm like, oh, Big L got a soft spot for her. Well, I mean, they do work together, so Big L's gonna do whatever he can to save this job. But I'm really curious to learn more about Big L. But we gonna move on, you guys. All right, so next we see Keyshawn. So she's out with her baby, and then we see her. She's meeting with Lil Murder. So Lil Murder tells her, if you trying to bribe me, I'm like, Lil Murder is not bribe. She's trying to blackmail you. But he says, if you're trying to blackmail me, think again. And then she shows him, she's like, look at this. Like, my video with your song has gotten a lot of hits, and we on World Star Hip Hop. And you're like, damn, we on World Star Hip Hop? She's like, yeah. And she wants to work with him, because obviously his management ain't doing the job. You know, his social media ain't popping, ain't nothing popping. So she can be the person that can help him, and also be his beard probably. Because she basically said she want to be the Keisha K or to his Gucci Mane. So Lil Murder cool with it. So then later in the club, we see some of the girls looking at her social media with her and Lil Murder. And I'm just like, well, damn, hating is not a good color, y'all. Now, some of them I do understand might be a little bit concerned for, you know, Miss Mississippi, because I mean, because when we look at her, she still she is just bruised up. And I'm like, you letting this white boy beat your ass. Like, girl, if you don't play like what Medea said, play grit ball with his ass, just whoop, boom, 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 whoop. Like, play grit ball with the motherfucker. Because he don't know what grit ball is. I'm pretty positive he don't know what grit ball is. Play grit ball with the motherfucker. So I understand some girls are worried about that, but I think other girls are just basically hating on her. And, you know, Mississippi notices that Autumn is at Mercedes' locker, and she's like, I don't think Mercedes would be too happy with you at her locker. And she was like, well, you know, unlike Mercedes, I like to share. And she's showing her gun. I'm like, take it. Take the motherfucking gun and just pop, 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 pop his ass. Multiple times. Self-defense. Because that's all you can say. Self-defense. Just say self-defense. Take all the makeup off that you're trying to conceal them bruises with. And this is what he did to me. But first, call the police and just, you know, report it. And then say self-defense. Um, so she also says that Mercedes gave her combination because she told her the combination. So then, we see Mississippi. She's talking to Uncle Clifford, and she's telling her Uncle Clifford that she wants to be her headliner. And Uncle Clifford's like, girl, no. And she's like, we can call it Murder Sundays or something, Murder Saturdays or something like that. So then we later see Mississippi. She's in the studio, and she on the gram. She's telling her followers about come to the pint on I think it's Saturday or Sunday for murder whatever it is. So then the crew was just thanking her for being around, and I think it was Lil Murder's manager. And I'm like, you thanking Mississippi, but if you his manager, why you ain't doing this shit? Why you ain't getting his music popping? You ain't getting his social media popping? You ain't doing nothing for his advertising, promotion, none of that shit. He didn't start popping until this goddamn song went up with her dancing, and that is sad. But again, you his manager. Speaks a lot to, I hope Lamert ain't paying that nigga. So then, they asking him, why he been MIA. Because DJ Never Scared had actually told him that, he ain't been in the studio in a minute. And his song's only gonna last so long. We all know why he ain't been in the studio. We all know that. So I'm gonna stop right here. All right, you guys. So next we see Andre. So Andre is hanging out with the Kyle brothers, including Corbin. And Andre is wanting them to sign his contract. Now you guys remember, Corbin does not want to sell. Corbin wants to lease. So the two brothers tell Corbin, you go first. So Corbin grabs the pen, and I'm like, Corbin, you got the right idea. I'm like, you really do have the right idea. Like, don't sign for that club. Like, don't sign away in the land. Because if you sell it, that's it. That's all the money you're going to get. So do what you said you want to do. And lease that shit. Lease it and continue to bring the money in. But like I said, the brothers, they don't squander their inheritance away, so they just won't. They'll take whatever you throw at them. So like I said, Corbin is struggling with this, and he says he wants to lease. So I finally realized what it is with these brothers. They don't want to. I feel like they would lease if Corbin wasn't involved, because their whole issue is, and I'm like, that's what y'all issue is. Y'all racist and a motherfucker, because y'all got an issue with the fact that your daddy slept with a black woman and had a child, which is Corbin, who still looks white as hell, but that's what y'all mad about. And while they're there, they're holding some of the guns, and then one of the brothers pulls the gun on Corbin, and Corbin says, you know what, I'll sign. I'm like, Corbin, no. You called his bluff. Like, Corbin called his bluff, because is there any bullets in there? He said, let's find out. I would say, let's find out, because if you kill me, well, what if they kill him? Then they won't need his vote. Okay. So yeah, I just thought about that. If they killed him, then they won't need his vote. Because I would have called a bluff. Seriously, I would have called a bluff. So then we do see Andre later, and Andre's on the phone with Bill. And he's telling Bill that he can't get the brothers to agree to sell, but they are willing to lease. And Bill was like, well, you know what? Look like we have to leave Chuckalisa and go somewhere else. So then Andre was like, no, let's make them an offer. Let's do this. Like, we can make this work. Let's lease to them. Let's do this lease. So, Bill says, okay, you know what? Get it done. That's all he said, is get it done. I'm like, ooh, Andre, now you know your goddaddy. That motherfucker's gonna be pissed off. So then we see Andre. He's making a lease agreement, and then his wife calls. I'm like, oh, so she must be a doctor, because she was talking about there was a gunshot wound. So then she asks Andre, what is he doing? And he tells her, he's doing business. And he told her that, my goddaddy, he gonna be mad about the deal that I made. And then she calls him an outsider. I'm like, oh. He said, this is my home. I'm like, oh. At that point, I was like, you know what? His wife is literally going to push him into the arms of Miss Autumn Nights. Like, that's what I'm doing. Because he was just not happy to hear her when she said that, he was an outsider. So then at the end of the episode, we saw Autumn. She called Andre, and, she thanks him, and I forgot to mention this, that when she and Mercedes were out earlier in the day, they were eating food, she slid Mercedes some money. Damn, did I completely left that? How the fuck did I leave that shit out? I'm gonna have to go back and talk about that. I so skipped over that shit. All right, so yeah, she thanks him for buying her the food, and she tells him that she's leaving, and I'm like, leaving, girl? I feel like no, she can't know that that baby daddy's on her ass. But she tells him she's leaving and that he's better off to stay right here in Chucalissa. So then we see Maine with his fat nigga getting his bracelet. The fat boy's out of that bracelet, but I'm like, he's like, nigga, you getting fed, ain't you? I'm like, oh shit. So then as Maine is leaving, Maine notices that missing poster, and it has Autumn's face on there. And Maine's like, what the fuck? I'm like, oh shit. The shit is about to hit the motherfucking fan. Oh, it's gonna be good. And we out for 2 weeks. We out until August 30th. Like, fuck. But you guys, that was P-Valley. I love this show. Love it, love it, love it. But you guys, be sure to like this video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button so you guys are aware of when I drop anything else. Share this video, and until the next one, you guys, do me a favor. Stay safe, take care of yourselves, and stay hydrated. And I'll see you guys later for Real Housewives of Potomac.